Welcome to Superior Physical Therapy. My name is Nick Hawkins. This is Mike Swinger, Andrew Gorecki. We have Ben Fusen and Keith Banley down there at the end. And what we wanted to talk about today was a question that we get commonly is, should I stretch before activities? And what we like to remember here is, when you're doing activities, just like if you're turning a car on, you don't want to turn a car on that's super cold, it's been, hanging out all night in that negative 10-degree weather, and then take off and go down the highway at 70 miles an hour. And so just like you want to let your car warm up, before you go out and run, or before you go out and even walk, you want to warm your body up. And we believe it's very important to move your body before activity. Give your body that buffer zone that it needs to avoid injury during activity. And I know these guys have a lot of knowledge on this topic too. So Mike, if you want to go ahead and take it from there, what are your thoughts on, you're a big runner, what are your thoughts on warming up and, excuse me, the importance of that?
Thank you. Yeah, a common question we get is, should I just do a static stretch? Should I move while stretching? Should I stretch at all? And I believe, yes, you should move. And in order to work properly, your muscles have to not just work through this short range, but they have to really be loaded. And that's where muscles get their inherent strength from, is from the elasticity in the muscles. Now, it doesn't just do that when we're sitting around all day, but when we go to actually use your muscles, you want them to be able to operate through their whole length. So you want to use them. You want to load them, you want to unload them, not just hold them in that length, but day in and day out, whether you're walking, whether you're running, grocery shopping, your muscles are constantly loading and unloading, loading and unloading. They don't just hold a position, a lengthened position for 30 seconds. But that's why our warm-up, our preparation should mimic what we actually do, where we actually load and unload the muscles in functional ways that translate to your activity.
So you're saying basically a dynamic stretch makes a lot of sense, as long as it kind of looks like the activity you're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think Mike was really focusing on the muscles, and I think there's a lot of things you could focus on as far as the importance of a warm-up or a stretch. I'm not really even a fan of calling it a stretch, it's just movement. We're moving all day and our muscles are stretching all the time. But if we were to even look at the joints that are surrounding, the joints that have ligaments around them that connect our body and our bones together, there is evidence, there's science behind the fact that movement creates secretion of synovial fluid in our joints. So it's almost like our joints get lubricated with movement. So if I'm the car analogy, that's exactly why you don't want to take a car from cold temperature to 70 miles an hour, because there hasn't been an opportunity for that oil to get up into the pistons and give me some lubrication. So you're going to throw a rod or a piston in there and it'll ruin your engine. So the same thing with the human body. If I can get movement beforehand in my joints specifically, it's going to secrete lubrication and my joints are going to be less painful. I'm going to have a better movement and just a better time with my activity.
I think both of you guys hit on a really important concept or topic is functional flexibility, functional movement, and our body it's a web of connective tissue in reality. And it's just kind of floating there, and floating there is a good term, I think, because our body is made up of water. A big aspect of our body is water, and lubrication is a great term for that. And in order to wake all of that up, we need movement. So sitting there, like Mike talked about, and doing a hamstring stretch where you're reaching towards your toes, it might feel good, it's going to loosen that muscle up. I think there's some good aspects to that, but if you're going to do that before you run or go shovel the driveway or rake your yard, I don't think you're not waking your body up to lubricate itself before you go do one of those functional activities. So to add movement to it, to have a movement, call it not stretching necessarily, but call it movement and have it mimicking what you're about to do, I think is something that we miss in general a lot with flexibility before we go do any sort of activity.
So when you're engaging in these movement activities too, you also want to think about 3 planes of motion too. So you're not just stretching one plane of motion, you always want to attack the other 3 planes, or the other 2 planes. So because the human body is just made to move in 3 planes, it's very important to have movement in all 3 planes, even in every joint, every muscle. So.
And absolutely, I would agree with that. I think that's why you see a lot of our videos here that have movements that are done in 3 planes. So we're mimicking the activity that we are about to do. So my golf stretching is going to look a heck of a lot different than my running stretching. Both of those are going to include movement because they're movement activities. But what I'm hearing from from Mike and from us as a collective group is, really it needs to be dynamic. It needs to be similar to the activity that you're trying to do next, and then it also needs to be in 3 planes of motion. And yeah, I think the answer here is yeah, I would move or stretch before my activity to just be more successful. So I just want to thank you guys for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.